Hi, I'm Nave here with Team Report and Power Rankings for the VTSDL Season 10 Champions Draft League. We hit double digits. Yay! It's not our 10th league because we have the half seasons, but, the number is 10. It will stay the number 10 until we do, probably 200 more seasons. Probably 180-ish seasons, 150. So, we're going to be coming back to doing this I'm coming back to doing this for the first time in, a while. I'd been doing these out of a combination of a lack of time, some burnout, and not feeling like I had much to say, which is the format's fault and not my fault. The Booster Pack Draft League didn't offer much in the way of analysis because we picked our Pokemon all randomly, and while picking, thoughtfully was possible for the VTC Little Cup format, there was a good chance that since it was the first time Level 5 Pick 4 with single item clause was ever played, I just didn't feel too bad about skipping that one, especially when hardly anyone made any trades. Maybe 2 trades happened total. Everyone just seemed pretty content to click their buttons. So whatever on that one. Luckily, it will be much easier to talk about Champions MA. We have Megas now, which is the new thing. But I'd argue that's less important than the short list of items in a draft context. Megas have pretty low flexibility. They will always hold the same item, so calculating against them is 100% consistent, and there's very few cases where staying in the pre-Mega will benefit you, and even less that will matter outside of Weather Wars. In a constructed format, that's maybe a point in Mega's favor. The best, strongest, most overwhelming guys in the format can only hold one item, so it's kind of easy to make niche counters and techs against them since they have low variety. But in draft, where both parties will have less options to route around their counters, it's just not as fun. I am hopeful that with MA Draft, the fewer items will make the Mega Lock ironically actually useful. You'll take up an item slot and have less to navigate through that. And they also won't be outdamaged and sometimes invalidated by Life Orb or Choice Mons because those items won't exist. Like always, I'll be getting to my team first, talking about my team before I get to the power rankings, and I'm going to tackle this in kind of an asynchronous order because I built around my, Skarmory, who I did pick last, but because it's the Mega, I'm just going to talk about it first. My favorite Mega from ZA, and the only one I kind of possibly could have been excited to use, was I got Tough Claws. I feel kind of insulted that I got Stalwart, the finger-hating ability, when I love to do redirection so much. Stalwart's also just uniquely not very good on it in this format. There's only one redirector who's comfortable around a Steel Flying type, and that's the one with Spring Guard, so Stalwart isn't actually helping. But if you want to talk strictly in terms of 1v1 matchups, Skarm will do pretty well into almost every other Mega. Lots of Steel Flying weeks among the high relevancies, and as far as I know, there are only 2 Megas, Houndoom and Delphox, that can both outspeed and threaten an Oko, which is a very good trait for your Mega that I have, and also your Mega that gets Tailwind. But that's kind of where I run out of things to talk about. Mega Skarm doesn't give you much to build around besides ticking the typing box. I do think Steel Flying is the best defensive type in the game. Fuck you, Golden Go. And also it does the Tailwind. And you do want to ground the EQ next to your bird, but that's not a very specific synergy, and it's one it's reasonable to expect a lot of other people want as well. I don't think there's one all-purpose best ground to partner next to Skarmory. And I did say Skarm is a Tailwind mon, but if you run Tailwind, you're going to be giving up coverage they usually just want to run Drill Run or maybe Rock Slide. And that will leave Skarm vulnerable to random Scarfers, which sucks. It does get Sword Dance and Iron Dance to be kind of a setup guy, but that's tenuous when its best stab is a recall off 6 to 5 HP, so it's not you can just run Drill Peck or Wing Beat, but it's not a win con you want to play to all that often. But since it is a win con at all, you do want to build around it. So my actual first pick of the draft was the Friend Guard Redirector I talked about earlier, who isn't scared of Steel Flying's Mousehold. Losing Pop Bomb sucks, but having Friend Guard and Super Fang is enough to make the Mises good enough to use. Yeah, you can still run the King's Rock Pop Bomb stuff. It's probably always bad and RNG fishy, but I can do it at pretty low cost if I ever find myself with a free item and move slot. Friend Guard is unfortunately almost wasted on Skarm because it can't reduce the amount of recoil you'll take, which is the biggest problem. But Mouse being 1 point faster does enable the fast Super Fang combos, which in a vacuum is better doing the Sword Dance stuff. You can also just do Feint, Encore, whatever. But I do need an actual good setup guy for the Mises, and initially I wanted to do Gallade just to do Trick Room and beat up Justified, but that ended up not panning out just looking at my bracket and what I would need to be good into it. So I went with Azumarill, which lets me do Friend Guard Belly Drum. I'm kind of too much of a pussy to ever do that, but I can threaten it, and I will force myself to bring it at least once. Water Fairy is just a great can't find anything that hit it typing, and this format is already notoriously scarce on Electors and Grasses. There are more Electors and Grasses in a draft context, but I dodged almost all the relevant ones. Well, all the relevant Grasses, but I have to play some relevant Electrics. I do have a good anti-Trick Room guy too, base 50 speed, I didn't write a transition sentence for the next one, but I got Garchomp? Well, I actually got Garchomp on my first pick, but in a surprising and perhaps controversial move, did trade it away for Pult. For many of the same reasons, I ended up picking Azumarill, just looking at my bracket, seeing what I needed and what I would be comfortable having. Again, with Garchomp, I would be looking at a bracket full of faster dragons, ice types, and strong waters that Garchomp would be stretched thin trying to cover. It does make my EQ game a lot worse, but I'm fine trading that for the security of having the fastest non-mega thing in the format. And also I will have a fake out immunity, which I did not have before and really like. The people do seem to hate Pult, and with Specs and or Ban, she certainly does seem worse, but with the quote-unquote addition of White Herb Clear Body Draco as your makeshift Specs, I think my worry with Pult will just be figuring out how to not make it hog the sash every week. I'm still a bit insecure about having two supportive S tiers. Pult is definitely more supportive than offensive. But like most of the offensive unpicked S's do share it that aren't megas, share a typing with Skarm, so I kind of have to deal with the hand I've dealt myself. The next pick, Lamora, there's less to say on than I think you would expect. I mostly got it just because it was the best thing in the tier currently, and when I got Garchomp I wanted Edgequake. Contending with all the waters that I have to fight will again be a pain in the ass, but since Rock and Poison are both offensive types at a high premium, I'm comfortable paying the price of entry and just toughing out the water weakness and 4x ground weak, at least more than I was with Chomp. I could do some Toxic Spikes, Mortal Spin bullshit to set up Hexpult or like Sludge Wave next to Skarm, but I'm not really a stall guy, so I think I'm just going to hold everyone at gem point. Next will be, speaking of Sash Hoggers, Greninja and Medicham. Greninja was my initial need a fast guy pick that my gut wants me to get rid of, but I just can't justify doing so. Having the hit Hydro Pump and not having Littledeath for Water Shuriken both sucks. But if luck's in my favor and I hit both of those or hit high rolls, those will both end up being more than good enough. Water Dark is defensively invaluable into the Mega Starmie Skeletors and Mega Meowstic Palafin matchups that I will have to play, which means I will probably never be running Protean, because that is a bad ability. Also, everyone I told I was picking Greninja thought I was going to pick the Mega for some reason, I don't know why. And Medicham is the Gallade replacement I got after I realized I need Fake Out. I had Greninja and Gallade at the same time. I had Medicham and Gallade at the same time, and just went, trust the process, everyone. I do think it has, Gallade and Medicham have the same speed tier, and they both get Trick Room, and they do, speaking just with the stabs, they will do about the same damage. Medicham has much worse coverage and can't guard Wives, which is worse, but I think having Fake Out more than makes up for the difference. But then the beat-up option is sad, though, but, I got a stronger lead next to Skarmory, and that's what really matters. And then lastly I got Belly Bolt before I got Diggersby, but then I realized I'd have to play Golurk and Drampa, and Belly Bolt can't touch those, so I just got a Azumarill instead, who can touch those. And in search for my replacement ground after Chomp, I got Diggersby, who has all of Chomp's damage with half the speed. Like 2/3 of the speed. It is arguably a better Earthquake friend than Skarm in ideal conditions, but it's not really as good elsewhere. It does have more inspiring coverage, but it'll be suffering from the same matchups at the water types as its peer Glimmora, which can only be solved with like the EQ plus Brave Bird thing half the time, most of the time. Funnily enough, I remember because I didn't a lot bigger than I want Chomp because it was neutrality to water. I thought that was a good reason to drop it, and then my ground type Chomp alternative is actually weak to water instead of being neutral to it. So whatever. And then Pinsir, whose Intimidate immunity will hopefully just come in handy. I'll just run Bug Fighting, Lund, CC, whatever. I can probably pull off some cute Mold Breaker Fent stuff on Prio Blocks too. There's a surprising amount of valuable bug weeks in my bracket to the point where I'm thinking of bringing Pinsir to maybe 3 games, which could be pretty big for a C tier in this economy if I'd let you quote me on that if Pinsir got Mega Horn, but it doesn't, so you can't. Now this one shouldn't be long. This is my, why didn't we tear this up? And also, why is it still undrafted pick? Half-decent Intimidator was valued electric typing, facing some uncomfortable competition from Scarf on my team with Glimmora, Diggersby, and someone else. Probably Medicham. But I can play it with like a roll time and just do Citrus and Volt Switch and then Wild Charge sometimes. So, my Wild Charge is a 120 attack. Ice Fang and Crunch are all the coverage you need, so you can, in the last slot, just fit Eerie and Pulse Electro Web, and that should apply good builder pressure to all my watery foes. Running Citrus and no Protectives didn't new with Solvest in this format. So, making this draft, I think, involved a lot of catastrophizing about my S-tier picks that I'm still not really over. I don't want to play around Megas because they're boring, and I wouldn't really recommend you play this format like me. The majority of supportive S tiers will pair better with good offensive megas, and taking the tier list as gospel, you will largely find good offensive megas in the S tier. The non-mega offensive S tiers, by and large, tend to have 4 times weaknesses or speed issues, like King Gambit, Aegis Slash, or Zero and Arcanine, so they're kind of hard to build around. I do believe in Mouse as an S tier pick, but with the tenuous quality of my setup options, I'm kind of having second thoughts. If anyone's on the chopping block, and maybe the Mises. And I believe in pulled until it comes to put items on my other guys. And maybe I just feel like this because of the item shortage and everyone's thinking this way, especially with the sash. Oh wow, I've got so many sashes I have to run. But like I am feeling pretty tough competition for Sash and Scarf. I'm going to be easy on the Scarf anxiety because it's an offensive format and a format lacking offensive items. But like Sash is kind of a defensive item as much as it's an offensive item. So I feel like if I need that much, that speaks poorly to the bulk of my team. And like maybe there's so many Visas berries it won't matter. Maybe it will matter a lot. I can only find out by playing. So I did find myself more confident looking at my bracket than I was my team in concept. And like to reflect this, I'm going to shift my power rankings ideology just a little bit. Usually when I do these, I'm primarily glancing over the team to see how good it is in a vacuum, what flaws it has, and what trades it can make. And I'm still going to do that, but since we're playing in a 6-week season with 12 people in each bracket, when we usually do 8 weeks with 12 people, your individual bracket will be a significantly more important factor to determine your likelihood to win it all than I think the quality of your team does. And you could always say this, but like, if you're playing 8 people in a league, there's only 3 people you're not playing. And if you're not doing cross-division playoffs, there's a good chance you're going to have to play those 2 people anyway. So like, it really does just matter. I think, grading how you are in a vacuum matters more because, the amount of teams you have to face is a broader net. But like, when it's just when I think it matters more, right? What matters more right now is just being able to get the playoffs. How well can you make it the playoffs? And then when you get the playoffs, you're just kind of going to have to wing it. So yeah. We're going to be getting a little bit more abstract in our rankings. Not as much as I thought. Because I think I just found out that having a good team tends to lead to you having a good bracket. So wasn't that big a deal. But I am going to add a little segment about who I think the problem Pokemon Needs matchup will be for everyone, which will hopefully not balloon the video length to 2 hours. To keep the timeline consistent, I'm also going to do all 12 of one division and then all 12 of the other, starting with my own. Well, starting with me doesn't actually mean that much because I always put myself at the bottom on these. This is just a template I use for all these. Because I'm recording this on a Wednesday because I kept procrastinating and not sleeping well and not feeling like it and blah, 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 blah. I couldn't really give any help for trades. So I think my PSA for my league and the other league is just going to be to stop shitting on the A tiers. They are good this time around. If you find your draft not being strong enough or not being diverse enough, look at the A tier and pick up one of the lonely psychic types in there. They're full of half-decent offensive psychic types and half-decent trick room psychic types, and like even the 4 times weakness guys like Obama now are going to be pretty good. Just I don't know. Just stop. I don't know. Go pick up a psychic type if you don't have one already. And then the next one is the real number bottom is Alas. I think their team doubles up on far too much, mostly in the dark types, and has an extremely weak roster of B tiers. I think 4 dark types, 2 of which being pranksters, is just really unfortunate. I imagine your Sableye is going to be basically forced to run Wisp every week to handle all the fightings you're weak to. Gyarados will help into them, but only defensively, unless you want to run Bounce for whatever reason. There's also going to be no power herb for your Bounce. Packing up 4 times weakness is also going to be exploitable for your Gyarados, and like you do cover Electric pretty well. I mean, it's a primarily special type, and Titar's special defense will be high. Excadrill and Hydreigon are both going to get owned by you got Voltazorb Jolteon. But, like, it could still happen. I think you're still going to want to run Walk-On for security, which is sad. Liepard isn't going to do all that much different from Sableye, and it will lack the screens and quash that, Sableye has. Those are the best things about Sableye. Ditto will only be good in ideal conditions, and Jolteon Speed Control isn't actually going to be too meaningful with Sandrush, Excadrill, and Tailwind Hydreigon. Also, it will probably be taking the sack from Excadrill, Sableye, and also probably Hydreigon. The C-Tars are whatever, I don't care about them. Really, my worry is that looking at this team, I'm only really scared of a T-Tar Extra lead or an Extra. I'm really only scared of lead permutations with the top 3 and maybe Sableye. And that's going to end up with like, oh, okay, if you if you don't lead Extra Drill, you're going to be super weak to fairy moves and die to fairy moves. If you lead with Extra Drill, if Extra Drill's not Sash, it's probably dying. And that's all really sad. And like, especially because T-Tar can never hold an item. Like, it's just kind of easy to exploit when it's got a 4x weakness. And like, you can probably EV to live those weaknesses when like you've got Sableye with Reflect, but and Gyarados with Intimidate, but it's just, I just don't like it. And, again, like with the lead permutations, your third strongest guy is Hydreigon, and that's never going to be a good defensive switch in, and Gyarados kind of lacks the speed or damage to pull its weight offensively. There are enough good attributes to sticking Sableye Bellshit next to an established 2-mon core like Titan Extra that good play should be able to cover all your fighting and fairy woes, but from my armchair, I just don't feel confident that can happen. This is the problem matchup section. Doom's Float was going to blow everything up once Extra Drill's gone, and the best Extra Drill killing mon on that team is probably Heracross. Fist Plate, 5-hit arm thrust, go! Mike's Mega Gyarados being immune to Prankster cuts down on most of the Sableye bullshit you can do to it, and then at that point all you've got is Jolteon to hit it. Cozy's Mega Altaria got the Hyper Voice everything, and the Synergist can redirect all the Iron Heads. I'm pretty sure Altaria gets Flamethrower too. Cast Mega Starmie just gets to take a kill every turn next to Clefable, as long as you don't Rock Slide, as long as you don't get a Rock Slide flinch off. Mario's Corviknight needs to be Flamethrower down, or I guess Temperate Flare down immediately, and Omega's Palafin gets free Jet Punch range after a single switch. And then Aux's team AOX, I do not like this. 2 Megas is already a risk. 2 Megas and S is already a risk, but there are 2 Megas below S and Lopunny and Steelix, and I just refuse to believe that you are gaining more versatility than you are losing. And like, I don't really think it's about, will one of these 4 Megas be good at everything I play? I don't think Megas are strong enough to justify the loss of an item slot, and it's more about what do you lose by not being able to bring the other 3. And with this, roster of Megas, I think you're going to be left with base forms that can't carry their weight offensively and /or defensively. And starting with Mega Arrow, who is the most decent, I would prefer the security of a Sash Tailwind, but like, Itemless Arrow is definitely the most fine if you're not going to be playing any Scarfers that can one-shot it, I believe. To securely Oko, Bose, Mega Aerodactyl, and base Aerodactyl, you only need to be about base 80 speed. And again, you're going to have to probably set your speeds to an Aerodactyl to like probably 132. Just to be safe anyway, which sucks. Or like even just max out your speed so you don't get owned by Scarfers, and that'll suck. But anyway, the thing is that the momentum you gain from just setting up Tailwind and then dying can sometimes just be worth not having an item, and I don't want to discount that. I just think it would be easier to manage if the Fake Out here was also not on a very frail Mega. I mean, she's not that frail. Base Lopunny's bulk is probably fine enough. It's like 65, 84, 96, I believe. And that's probably fine to bulk out without Sash, but like if you're not megaing it, the most damage you can contribute is spamming Helping Hand. So if the Mega's burned, you can kind of just leave her alone. The Mega Steelix is also, I think Mega Steelix likes the support of Aurora Veil, which is probably why, and it's a funny quirk of the team that I initially hated, but I think I like now, is that Vanillix is here as a secondary Blizzard spammer. Since the team was built with Frostlash in the first place, it does want a lot of Frostlash benefits like Aurora Veil. But if you do that, if you have 4 Megas, then you're not going to Mega the Frostlash, and you need the Vanillix, so the Vanillix can do that when you're not bringing Frostlash, which is very funny. But I don't know. You just do that and you set up Veil for the Mega Steelix. Not having lefties sucks, but I think Iron Defense, Steel types, and Steel types in general are quite good into our league. And I guess I also just don't want to discount that Mega Frostless with Vanillix is just a very good Blizzard spamming lead in the first place. And also, Alex does probably have the best C-tiers that I've ever run. Absol Sucker is probably going to end up being super valuable, and Aromatisse is the slowest thing in the format for Anti-Trick Room. The rest of the team is very fast and want to get out of Trick Room immediately. Tauros does take a Raging Bull out of the pool if you ever want to do screen stuff. Typhlosion will be good until the rare steals you have to play against, and Heliolisk is kind of whatever. I don't know, just to go back and harp on the 4 Megas thing, I do think having 4 Megas kind of makes you have the most play better team in the league, and I don't think enough tools have been doled out beyond the Megas to make the playing better all that easy. If you want to play the Mega Mind game, you're going to have to stall your own Mega or play leads with no Mega in them, which seems, maybe not in your first 2 weeks, but like someone who goes, okay, Aux always likes to do these two things. I think the pattern of play could develop pretty quickly, and then you get blown up. I also don't think I also don't want to like empathize enough that like the Scarf Blizzard with the Frostless is going to be very difficult to come forward just on its own, and could probably justify a higher spot for the team in and of itself, but I don't feel like it. In the terms of the bracket, Mike Scizor looks pretty all-encompassing as the thing you must kill. Mega Gyarados can beat your Typhlosion too. Cozy's Empoleon holding Chapel looks like it could threaten an Oko on basically the entire team but Heliolisk. And Cozy's got, I guess, pretty good Heliolisk answers. And like, what was it? Tauros, it also, Cozy's Empoleon also kind of forces your Empoleon, your Tauros to not run into him. I mean, it depends. I guess if it brings grass on, it forces you to. But otherwise, Desardex is good, so blah, blah, blah. Cast Clefable should stop Frostless from Shadow Balling Starmie, and I think Starmie should do a pretty good job of doing enough damage to Frostless before that can happen. Also, it can threaten the Clefable threatens the Tauros that you want to bring in on Starmie, and also Starmie is a Psychic type. Mario's Corviknight with Bulk Up can be a pain in the ass if Typhlosion goes down, Omega's Mega Chime Echo if the Umbreon can handle Frostlass or just foul play something, and Doom's Hisuian Gutra only really worries about the Tauros, who is extreme Floette food. Number 9 is Omega, and this is kind of a what was he cooking team. It looked very strong at the early picks by digging into the support options. Mega Chime Echo is a Bronzong that trades ability mix-ups and an item for damage. Vivillon is a rare good redirector with Sleep Powder, which is especially good into a meta with no safety goggles. And Strappy, Kangaskhan Fake Out Last Resort, is the Trick Room sweeper support that is sweeping the nations. It's kind of like an Iron Hands. But after that, I'm not really sure how the pieces fit together. There's a Palafin, but there's not many strong pivoting pairs to go alongside the Palafin. I mean, you can swap into Kangaskhan and have Fake Out active, and that's fine. You can swap into Vivillon and Frengar, that's like fine, but I think both, if you take chip on both of those, it's kind of bad. Not on Kangaskhan, but definitely on Vivillon. And Aurorus is a pretty awful switching because it's a Rock Ice type. And like, but if you do get the Palafin set up, like, and you do it in endgame, like, it's fine, because if you all your guys die in Trick Room and you still have Palafin, you just Jet Punch, you get out of Trick Room, and you can probably just keep killing everything. So that's nice, but, Mega Meowstic is a confusing pick. I feel like the goal could just be to never Mega it. Offensively, it's only advantage over, because the reason to pick it has to be either because it's new or because of the Prankster utility, because it's just worse than Mega Alakazam. All it's got offensively is having Thunderbolt, and especially on this team's defenses, you already have a Psychic type Mega that's weak to Dark and Ghost. I think there are some techs you can do that'll be worth it. The pre-Mega Prankster Psychic Terrain stuff next to Vivillon could be potent. And running Prankster Quick Guard will definitely have its place, even if like you Prankster Quick Guard, so Chime Echo doesn't get faked out, and then you can still get taunted. Well, you got fake out, but I guess the problem then is more that Meowstic is bad in Trick Room, but I don't know, we'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. You've got Fake Tears, I think. I don't know. I just don't know if the utility will be worth it. Beyond the top two, what jumps out at me most are some awkward Tail Room speed tiers. Aurora's Glaceon and Emboar are all very powerful sweepers when they've been positioned well, but getting to that point seems kind of difficult. The slowest mons hover around 58 and 65, which shouldn't be hard tiers to find a natural Trick Room counter for, which does require being comfortable running min speed or like a min speed mind game, but like, And like, if you do want to run Tailwind, your only Tailwind, I believe, is Vivillon. Aurorus might get it. I'm not sure. I don't think it does. But even still, I think that's not much better. Right? Vivillon always wants to run the Sash and has a 4x weakness, and Aurora has a 4x weakness too. And you're going to be screwed if Tailwind ever gets matched. Now, this isn't a team that looks like people would bring Tailwind into, but it's worth mentioning. Both of your Trick Room setters being taunt vulnerable just because they can't hurt the Mental Herb seems really bad. Wouldn't be surprised to find, which means that I wouldn't be surprised to find if the goal here was less Trick Room and more like Cosmic Power, Chime Echo plus Toxic Umbreon bullshit. Because or like doing screens with the Meowstic, also going back to the maybe you just won't Mega the Meowstic thing. Because the Umbreon upcast doesn't make too much sense otherwise. I think I can definitely see a version of this team that isn't Trick Room like I think, but instead just a Protect the King Chime Echo. I want to click stored power after I want to set Light Screen, Reflect, and Aurora Veil and be at plus 2 Cosmic Power, and that's what I will do as my Chime Echo every week kind of team. And like, I don't know, picking between Aux and Omega for this spot was kind of hard, and I think it's between the overuse of Megas without enough support for them and too much support for underwhelming Megas. But I'm choosing to believe that in optimal conditions, Omega will have more tools to win, so I'm putting him higher. And looking at the matchups, I do think Omega does have good tools for his entire bracket, to the extent that it may be a little, that if he overperforms, it's kind of mean to say, I don't mean it like that. I won't be surprised. The Blizzard spamming mode will find itself with very few resists, with little difficulty in letting Palfin sweep endgame, should you be able to get the lines with that correctly, but, getting ahead of myself here. Parry's Mega Aggron will be a pain in the ass if you can't Sleep Powder it, and Rampardos does get Rock Blast to break your Vivillon Sash, and that's really it. It can break the Vivillon Sash so you can get Sleep Powdered. To be a pretty decent anti-Trick Room too. What is that? I think it's at 64 or 74. Qwert's Mega Gengar will blow up everything when you're not in Trick Room, and if Megan gets to stick around, Hippowdon can terrorize you under Trick Room just by yawning stuff, high horsepower stuff. I don't think it gets a move to hit Mega Chime Echo, but it might be able to ignore that. Mr.Amazing's Basket Legion F gets to hit everything on the head. Was a side note for Run for Imprison and Manual Rain Meowstic. Nave's a Zoom Roll if you can't fit Freeze Dry on anything. I was a Mega Steelix with enough Iron Defenses, otherwise his Tauros will kind of beat you. Because Tauros will beat what can get the Steelix before the Iron Defenses, which is really just Emboar, Glaceon, Aurorus, and kind of Vivillon if it brings Rock Slide. And I'm having a hard time pinning that one individual problem on for a Laz, but it seems difficult to pivot Palafin around while not having your switches blown in by Rock Slides or EQs or by double spread move. Number 8 is Parry, who will probably have the fewest things I'll have to say about a team. I don't think it's bad, but it is 5 monkeys plus some good stuff. The monkeys are all varying ranges of decent. That only an explanation. They all get fake out and have the same pretty good speed tier. Chomp plus Mega Clef is a good brain off Gleam plus EQ that you can slap a bunch of set variations on, and provided Trick Room goes up and Struck plus Rampardos, it'll go swimmingly. It got day 2 at the Champions Fest once, which means it's good, obviously. The more I look into the bracket, his bracket, her bracket, their bracket, all pronouns combos for max respect onto the Aggron. Aggron looks very good. Parry stumbled into a lot of good tools against fires, and with Filter and that defense stat, Aggron should be able to handle both fightings and grounds by itself. I don't know. So looking at this team and seeing the 5 monkeys might kind of make my brain shut off, but the Fire, Water, Grass core fake outs is more than enough support to let Aggron do something. And Chomp is also there. You can still do Steel Dragon Fairy even with an on-Mega Clef. Mega Clef is pretty decent. Omega's Mega Chime Echo will be a real pain in the ass if you can't make Semi-Zero Gengar get it. If Doom runs Special and Simple Scovelin, that'll suck for Aggron. Mike is really strong and handsome. Cozy's Altaria plus Typhlosion actually seems pretty rough to deal with. Typhlosion is probably the best Aggron answer on the team. The Typhlosion because it's fake and immune. Cat's Norvin running Tailwind plus Whirlwind. Tailwind complicates Mega Clef plus Chomp, and Whirlwind complicates Oranguru modes. Of course, you can just run Mega Clef plus Oranguru and always get Trick Room up, but let's not think about that. And Mario's core can match Iron Defenses with your Aggron, but it has lefties and Roost and probably beats you in the end. Number 7 is Mario. So Mario's straying from weather for what looks like a hard Trick Room team. Sort of. It looks like you look at Furdraft Mega Golurk and the Drampa and think hard Trick Room, and the rest of it is kind of thinks, I guess it's just weird, bulky offense. I don't know. Furdraft, Golurk, Corviknight, Orthworm form a very flexible core that do have the bulk to not be locked into Trick Room, and of course they are threatening Trick Room every single time. I wasn't enthusiastic about the Mega Drampa at first, mostly because I just wanted to see someone have a Conkle there. But looking at Mario's bracket, I do think it's going to end up being better than the Golurk most of the time. The biggest problem I see is no redirection and having Meowstic F as your fake out. I don't think it's Mario's fault that he couldn't get a better redirector or a better fake out. They both went very early. And the best in-slot fake out for this team is Kangaskhan, which went pick 2. I don't think you can blame anyone for thinking it'll go that fast. But Meowstic F is just too weak, fragile, and shares weaknesses with Giraffe and Mega Golurk and whatever to really help the Trick Room mode all that much. And like, again, it's kind of weak, so it's not even going to help like other. It can kind of help Qwert setup or Qwert Tailwind, but like after you got that done, it's like, uh-oh, I'm stuck on the field with some Meowstic. And then like, yeah. And I think even besides that, I kind of feel like, I know I said it's a hard Trick Room team that I wasn't confident enough saying for real, but I do wish it invested less in Trick Room. Because like Tauros Fire is a really great choice, especially when it comes to making the conditions for Trick Room, but it's like next to useless within it. And I feel like you could have better options if you just ran Mega Golurk like it was a fast Ursaluna. Lowitzer, Gourgeist, Pangoro do the same things as the top 5 do. Clowetzer is kind of a Mega Drampa. Gourgeist is basically another Farigiraf. I mean, because they share pretty similar weaknesses. And Pangoro is like a Tauros Blaze. And I just can't help but feel that those slots could have been better spent on something in like the 80+ speed range to give you more options, just running no Trick Room bulky offense, or like in the Qwert Tailwind mode. Which I do think are both good. Golurk's 55 speed tier and bulk are completely workable to play with it like a weird Mega while, but like, I don't know, I'm kind of finding my Mega Golurk face low, and I hope my mind can be changed, but, you know, we'll see where it heads. The Orthworm stuff, EQing next Orthworm is fine, but like, I don't know, getting a big, Urq doesn't go through Unseen Fist. You're not using your fist for any of that. Now, probably the matchups do look kind of dire, and I think like Qwert Samurott and Paris modes can eat the whole team for lunch if you can't find like good terms to Shed Tail or pivot out. I don't know if Qwert gets U-turn, but I know that Orthworm gets Shed Tail, and that's kind of exploitable. Mr.Amazing's pre-Mega D-Knight and Basket Legion can do whatever they want to Giraffe and Gourgeist, and also there's the Imprisoned Trick Room Meowstic. Nave's Azumarill makes doing anything in Trick Room a pain in the ass, and it's strong enough that it can then even if you don't send Trick Room, it'll probably just kill things. You don't have anything that you only have Gourgeist hit it super effectively. As can Blizzard spam all he wants if Typhlosion can kill Corviknight. Alas, doesn't need Sand for speed, so Mold Breaker's Excadrill can fuck up Orthworm. And also, just because of the ground steel, pretty much every other guy you have. Harry's Oranguru can either imprison Trick Room consequence free or just let the aggro on Iron Defense. Which should, because it's base 30 speed, it can definitely kill everything. So into the top half, we're going into Mike. Mike's running the balanced stuff we usually expect from him, but I think this team is held back by things that aren't really its fault, namely the small item pool. Looking over this team, I see a lot of versatile, bulky pieces that have been denied the items that I would say defines them. No Band Scizor, no Moringa Garg, no AV Florges, and I guess no Hydrabble with Lorb. There's still leftovers in Tetris, but those are really only 2 items, and only 2 of them can have them. And I think, this is a team that centers around having a good type chart and fat defenses, and breaking that type of team becomes easier when they've lost most of their fat tools. Otherwise, it seems like a very setup-oriented team, a little bit Trick Room. It definitely got the option to pivot to setup sweeping whenever it would like, because like most of these guys, I think you could classify as Trick Room Pokemon, but not necessarily Trick Room sweepers. They're all functional outside of it, and even the most Trick Room locked in Wordeer can attempt cycle with the Gyarados, which is nice. And like, whether that's a good or a bad thing, I think this team prefers setting up in the mid-game rather than at the beginning. You want to choose when to get your Gyarados in wisely, because it has Intim and Scizor's 4 times weaknesses and guard speed, kind of make them rough leads. I would qualify them as setup guys, I think. CM Florges will probably do fine, but like, CM Florges, I don't have anything bad to say about CM Florges. I have a lot of faith in Scarf Chandelure. I don't know if I do in Hydrapple. I think losing the coverage is good, and the rest of the team goes away ice enough. I think that'll be pretty damn good. And having a rare Wife Garter and Garganackle helps, and Manectric is a very good C-tier pick. Rotom is a mascot because it kind of looks like the Taco Bell logo. Problem Mons. Alex's Tauros bullies Shandy and Garg and lets the Steelix sweep. Alas, you can still Salt Cure with the Steelix, but that's not as good anymore, and you might just get heavy slammed or heavy slummed or whatever. Alas's Jolteon is the biggest obstacle to a Mega Gyarados sweep. It seems kind of free otherwise. Similar to Aux's, Parry's Chomp gets to beat Shandy and Garg, which lets Mega Aggro on sweep. But again, same caveats with Garg can technically beat it, but not really. Qwert Mega Gengar can kind of just bring 4 attacks into you and kill whatever it wants every turn, just feint and do something else. Mr. Amazing's Basket can be a pain in the ass if/when he takes down Gyarados, which shouldn't be that hard with the Rotom, and I guess Thunder, Mega D-Knight, and my Azumarill. No more secrets, I'm just going to say Azumarill for all of them. Number 5, Doom's Mega Floette team, that's the best Mega in the format, and also he's got Ensign, which is, I think, much less likely to be a wasted slot than compared to a Reg H or Reg F draft. The support to set up Mega Floette, or even just keep it alive while it clicks Light and Ruin, is definitely there to fake out Incineroar and Raichu, and a rare Redirector in Scovillain, but outside of that, the spread of Mons seems a little disorganized. And Simplest Scovillain don't cover each other's typing very well. Raichu Alola is very frail. And I think all, Incineroar and Scovillain are roughly equal in targeting value and consequences if they die, which is maybe a good thing, because it means you have 2 high value pieces, but whatever. Araquanid is going to have to tough out the inability to set Trick Room, and Mamoswine plus Lucha isn't a particularly inspiring EQ combo. Lucha's going to have to EQ something to get fast and doesn't have Tailwind, and Lucha's still decent. It just could be more decent. I like having the Hoodra as an alternative setup option. I mean, you can only really do Iron Defense, but that's fine. Let Hillat more confidently just run Speed and an End Moon Blast or a Light of Ruin shit. And also, it kind of does seem rough into most of the bracket. I do think Raichu Alola is unusually good speed control for this format, which is cool. Roserade and Heracross, both pretty decent. Not much to say about them. I guess I see a lot of game plans being to park Mega Floette next to Mamo or Araquanid, and then you just kind of swap out whatever is going to work for Incin. But I think there's a lot of physical frailty in here in a pretty physical format that might involve more play bettering than would be preferable. Mega Floette definitely equalizes a lot of that, but I don't know, one good turn to kill the Floette, and I think if you've got a CC guy in the back, it looks kind of rough. Some problem matchups, Alas's Excadrill will speed most of his obstacles if they get Incin and or Araquanid out of the way. That it is two old guys, and not that big a deal. Parry's Mega Aggron will only feel an overhit from Scovillain after it gets an Iron Defense up. And maybe, I guess, Water Bubble special Araquanid, but I don't know if that got Scald. If that got Scald, you should just be running that every week. Oh, it got Scald. Qwert is mostly Mega Floette food besides the Mega Gengar. And I think, if you get Feint and Sludge Bomb and bullshit, that'll be great. And what was it? Mega Mr. Amazing Basculation can get to Nabakill on pretty much everything but Goodra. I mean, it can't Nabakill on Araquanid until it gets Last Respects up, and it will never be able to do that if it's special. But if it's special, it's only with Incin, but that matchup seems pretty good. Nave's Mega Skarmory is looking at 2 Steel Weeks and 5 Flying Weeks, and Aux's Mega Lopunny can Suicide Bomb whenever it wants, provided it doesn't get OHKO'd by a Scarfer. I didn't actually check that. I kind of just said that. I think maybe the Blizzard spamming stuff is better, but I want to give the Mega Lopunny some credit. Now, number 4 is Mr. Amazing. It's a Rain team that I don't think really needs Rain. It stacks up a lot on special damage here, presumably because there's no Assault Vest in the format, and that seems like the kind of thing Mr. Amazing would do. But it's kind of low on mons that actually like Rain. You can play a lot of pivoty, switchy games with this team, and I think the Politoed kind of has difficulty contributing much damage or utility to that. Rain Dance for Blastoise and no Fire Beats for Rotom Mo are nice, but I think there's opportunity cost that you're missing out on by having Politoed over another S tier here. Maybe the opportunity cost isn't that high, but I think there are Rain teams and Sun teams where if you get rid of the Sunsetter or the Rainsetter, the team is useless, and that is not true of this team. I think if Mr. Amazing wanted to run King Gambit or Hisuian Arcanine, the team would not necessarily be worse for it. That said, Politoed Bask helping Ambush Muddy Water is a very good bullshit destroyer. But you still already have Meowstic for Rain, and it's not helping him plus Rain Dance, but Rain Dance plus Adaptability is still pretty good. I don't know. Mega D-Knight does certainly appreciate the Rain, but it is perfectly functional without it. I think I would argue Mega Dragonite has more interesting synergy with the rest of the team than it does with Rain. Mega Meowstic, normal Meowstic, no Mega, Meowstic Fake Tears, Quick Guard, and Screens boost D-Knight's Dragon damage and survivability more than Rain ever could. Crook gets an Earthquake friend, especially when you have Telepathy Guard and Motom, so you can just let Scarf Crook lock into EQ for a whole game and have no consequences. And Mega D-Knight is going to be contending with Manual Weather a lot of the time, because this team isn't that fast. Well, it's got the Houndoom, but the Houndoom's also, it's a Houndoom. It's a butt dog. It's okay, but it's not that good. It's not that strong. Well, it's strong, but it's not bulky. But what's worse about Mega D-Knight and running Mega D-Knight like a Rainmon is that when you are out of weather, you are not just losing damage, you are losing accuracy. And I think this team can not only afford to play D-Knight like Balance Glue over the Hurricane Runesweeper, but it could be a little bit better here, because it gets Thunderbolt and Ice Beam. You will literally never be in need of coverage. You can just run Draco and Thunderbolt and then run Tailwind and or whatever. I mean, you don't, or Roost or something. So, yeah, I don't know. I haven't done much justifying this team's position over or under any of the others other than complain about Mega Dragonite and Rain and that I don't like them. And I guess it's just the Rain team effect. There's not much to talk about. The strong points are obviously strong. The weaknesses are kind of easy to see. If you get the weather up, it'll be a problem. If you ice move the only Mega, it dies because it's a Dragonite. And there are some kind of pretty low speeds without Scarf, but there's Scarf. And Scarf Motom wants to do something that does to do Electro Web. Vascular Legion wants to hold the Scarf so it can Last Respects or Muddy Water you. But if the Vascular Legion isn't holding Scarf, it's Swift Swim, and if it's in the Swift Swim over Adaptability, it's not that strong since there's no ban, blah, 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 blah. But I think there's just enough good stuff here that it should succeed regardless. I haven't talked about the Gardevoir much in specific, but that is a fairy. Enough said. Nothing more to say. I mean, maybe this team could have a Steel to do, have a Fiery Fantasy Core, but I don't really think it needs suggestions. I'm just saying that, if you, for whatever reason, have prejudice against your own Rain team, you can take the Rain guy out and be fine. Problem Mons, Cat Serena blocks your priority bullshit and hits all triple axles, assuming that Serena is Scarf. Mega Drampa in Terror Room doesn't really see any counters. I mean, if you have multi-scale up, you beat it, but that's true of a lot of things. Aurora's Blizzard spamming against Amlo seems positioned pretty well in whatever speed control, what should run over the team. If they get Stroke Room up, then instruct Blizzard. If there's a Tailwind thing, also instruct Blizzard. I mean, you've got Tailwind, but matchups even leaning Blizzard spamming. Doomshooter will be a problem given that given he doesn't have difficulty covering Crocodile. Well, no, Doomshooter is hard to beat because he does not have problems covering Crocodile. Mike's Hydrapple looks fine. Bad, I guess. I just want to throw the Hydrapple a bone. It looks like a pretty rough matchup for Mike. And Cozy Zardex will suck if you let it get a D-Dance up. So number 3, Bronze Medal, is Cat. This team has every tool you could want, which is a rarity, at least in this format. If Northern got Rain Dance, I think I could be comfortable putting this as the best team in the league. Starmie is an interesting Mega to give all the support to, because it's not really a setup Mega. You just need to give it turns to hit shit, which Lefable, Serena, and Noivern all easily allow. Noivern luckily survived its assassination attempt at S to be probably under-tealed if we stuck Aerodactyl up there. Now, the value Cat's team is getting out of Tailwind seems to be the ability to match it over all else, but Noivern's got Norvern's worse is not just having Tailwind, but also having Frisk and Dracos. You still want it to do that. Through Team and Mudsdale make up a serviceable Trick Room mode. It's not great, it's not awful. Morpeko getting Fake Out should be good enough for your budget Fake Out needs, even if there's not really a trend of a Dark weakness, but it is more Dark weaks on top of your Clefable. Through Team doesn't resist Dark, whatever. The double unaware is good at deterring setup sweepers. Megas love to set up sweep. The only real hole I can poke in this so far is that the Tailwind and Trick Room moves don't really share any big hitters. Life Orb, Clef, and Throat Sprayless Dirge have pretty limited sweeping potential. Clef's pretty, I guess more power Bliss Clef. And Mudsdale is at base 35, so you're not going to get to do anything in Trick Room and Tailwind. The Firewater Grass Core having Skeledirge in it seems kind of rough. Shares Ghost and Dark weaknesses with Starmie and is at a similar speed here to Serena. So what's keeping this down is maybe that there's not a better fire type. I don't think the better fire type is Armor Rouge, I guess, but Armor Rouge is also a fire psychic, so maybe you're screwed on that. Also, the Lycanroc Dusty Solrock with Stormy Aquajet Prio combo is kind of cute. I don't think that. I think it's kind of funny that this is a Mega Stormy team that doesn't have any obvious huge power beneficiaries. I mean, I guess Mudsdale, but like it's not that good. Problem matchups. Mr.Amazing's Arbok's Gunk Shot is the only thing standing between your ability to click Finger next to Starmie and kill everything. Nave's Glamora threatens pretty much everything in the top 5, but the Mega Starmie, which is made more manageable by the Luxray. Next is Mega Frostlass threatens an Oko on almost every single member of the team. Given Cleft Eyes, I don't like just clicking Blizzard isn't that good, but like Freeze Dry plus Shadow Ball is very, very good. Given the opportunity to set up, I think Alasis Gyarados is very threatening, provided their Excadrill can handle your Clefairy. If it can't do that, then you're probably clear. Parry loading up Mega Clef, Deagling plus Scarf Jump EQ probably cripbles every lead not involving Morpeko. And Qwert gets the Mega Gengar, everything to say nothing of Hisuian and Samurot's great typing into you. I guess it doesn't. I guess it's kind of weak to Serena, but it'll be fine. Number 2 is Cozy, and my first impression of this was always, why is Mega Altaria here? But I have warmed up to it over time. It doesn't share any weaknesses with Zardex, and while it is annoying that both are awful in their base form, you can kind of form a Fire Water Grass plus Dragon Core with both modes, Sinistcha and Polion plus either Zardex or Hyflosion, and then you add Altaria onto that one. It's pretty potent Fire Water Grass that doesn't turn Intimidate and like kind of lets Zardex live forever with Tough Claw Breaking Swipes. I don't know why I'm so into Tough Claw Breaking Swipe. Or you can just do similar thing for Altaria. I mean, no Breaking Swipes, but you know, what can you do? Weavile's Fake Out plus Lazy Winds are up there in contention for best non-tailwind speed control in the format, and Hyflosion is a somewhat awkward addition since the other guys will be bringing answers to fire already, but Frisk and Fake Out immunity is valuable enough. Everything unmentioned is in a vague, good stuff bubble to me. Gliscor's and Tim immunity is, you know, fine. But it wishes it could be Toxic Orb instead. And, like, this team, it kind of invites Ice, kind of doesn't. I mean, like, Sinistcha kills fires. I mean, Charizard X kills fires, and the rest of them are all kind of, I don't know. It's only sort of weak to Ice. Gliscor is probably the tipping point to going, okay, I'll bring my Blizzard into this team. I'll bring my Ice game into this team. Combat Tauros is probably the second or third worst Intim in the format, but like whatever spot it's at still has a pretty wide gap between it and Varbok. It's definitely viable. Really all this team needs is a Trick Room Sweeper. It's not taking enough advantage of Sinistcha being pretty good at the job of getting Trick Room up. Getting to run, you know, Protect on it over Trick Room is fine, but, you know, I just don't think there's a slot. I don't see a slot over that you could, like, slot in a Trick Room Sweeper under that wouldn't make you lose a bunch. I mean, maybe Gliscor, but I think the Trick Room Sweeper available is Golaric, and that's another Ghost, so whatever. Cozy's first matchup is actually me, so I mean, I haven't been saying much about this anyway, but I'll just only say Azumarill, you know, explicitly. Alex Mega Arrow has a free Rock Slide ticket if he can manage Empoleon. A setup with Alasis Sableye can Wisp and Quash everything. Parry's Rampardos kind of has the keys to the city if Empoleon goes down. Qwert's Gengar locks down the hospitality cycles unless you want to commit to like Cosib, Sinistcha, and Sash Hyflosion. I mean, you can go between those two, but like... And Mr.Amazing Crocodile with speed control kind of can just pick and choose whatever it wants to kill because it's got Gunshot and Gunshot the Altaria. And then lastly is Qwert. Sorry for putting Qwert first again, it never works out. But, you know, chronologically, I made this entry second to last. In every problem Mon segment, I think I believe in every single one, I said the number one thing to watch out for was Mega Gengar. Megan, referred to here on out. Megan has the opposite of the Zardy problem, where, like, in a draft scenario, all Zardy really gets to do is data rock slides, but Mega instead gets to optimize her coverage and trapping shit. You can do the Encore disable bullshit with Whims, even if a field up slot would have been better spent on Mousehold, given how the rest of the team form was having Como and stuff, but like, I already have Mousehold, so tough shit. Otherwise, I mean, Qwert just makes teams that I would make, so of course I like it. I considered Hammerot plus Infernape pretty early on, and I obviously got a Skarmory, so I like those 3 B tiers. There's a Redirector, Toucans, whatever. Fire Water Grass Core, not really a Steel Dragon Fairy Core. No. Yeah, kind of a Steel Dragon Fairy Core. But, like, I don't know, there aren't really Dragon alternatives. I don't know why I said that. So, and like, I'm a weather hater, so I find the sand mode a bit hackneyed. Hippowdon plus Como, the only thing, like, I think that only seems that good in theory.
since you'll be doing a lot of chipping to your own guys, and like your own guys don't want to get sand chipped, like Whimsicott, Mega Gengar, Infernape, even kind of Ariados. Their HP seems very valuable, so bringing Hippowdon seems kind of bad, and like you don't need to be a fairy to Dazzling Gleam Komodo. So I think the overcoat there isn't all that good. I mean, it's not like Megan Como isn't a good combo. There just aren't really dragon alternatives. So like, you know, and like there aren't dragon alternatives. So like you kind of have to run Como if you want a dragon, and like you can just trap it in with something that doesn't get D-Gleam and be fine. If they're running multiple D-Gleams, they will probably not have a fun time. And like, I think Mega Medicham is probably the ideal dual Mega. It's perfectly functional without having to Mega. It would certainly like Sash or White Herb, but it doesn't need it. And also it demands completely unique respect from Megan in the builder. Like, generally, you know, it's just strong. It's just, you know, pure power plus next to Whimsicott and clicking close combat is very strong. And like, I think base Medicham even loves the like next to Megan, like Intimidate can't switch in, and like pure power close combats in base form are still going to be very strong. Like, there's plenty of supporting moves to like help her CC, even like Whisper, whatever. Like, I don't know. I think you can, because of the ghost fighting coverage, it's like totally reasonable to lead Medicham plus Megan and then just have no intention of ever megging the Medicham and just do Gengar stuff. And like, you know, Ariados will hopefully shape the world. Let's go Ariados. Problem matchups, Marius Corviknight has some choice words for everyone on the team. Infernape, who with an Aka probably does lose. I think I said the thing about Megan being the problem matchup in all of Qwert's matchups. I think Corviknight is like just as many for Mario. Corviknight is very good. Kangaskhan having Strackbee and Fake Out makes you play pretty costly lead roulettes against it. Since a Raccoon can't be burned, a Raccoon with the best of huge. Why did I click out? I missed a spot. But since Doom's a Raccoon, can't be burned. Def is huge, so you can click pretty much your entire team. Click a button on pretty much your entire team for good damage. Because it can lunge assuming Samurott. I mean, I guess Como is not a problem, but then you have to run physical Como and blah blah blah. You kind of have to play pre and post. You have to play mind games against pre and post Mega Gyarados to kill it. And if Mike gets the turn right for a D-Dance, depending on who you play the Wims, it might just be over from there. You know, crunch the Gengar, kill it. Ice Fang the Como, kill it. So on. I mean, I guess you mutually wall the hammer up, so it's fine. Cozy's Weavile sees a bunch of kills into big targets and Icy wins non-Wims leads, so you have to be kind of careful with how you play the Wims there. And like Cat's Mugsdale could get kind of annoying. That matchup also seems pretty good. All the matchup seems pretty good. No, that's it. I don't have many broad concluding thoughts from my division. It seems good. I wonder if there's any subtle psychological bias at play that I put most of the people. 5 of the top 6 are people I have to play. The only one I don't have to play is Mr.Amazing, and then Mario's number 7. But you know, maybe that means that's something we should examine going forward. What are your rankings of other people in your division and compared to your actual bracket? That could be a fun study. If you're watching the whole video, keep that one in mind, and we'll make a spreadsheet later. All right, now I'm going to end the video, and then I'm going to drink a bunch of water, and then I'm going to open the next one. Then we'll do the next one. All right, first pick of Showdown division, whatever, is Espy, who really needs a better dual Mega. Mega Scovy isn't really supporting enough and on its own to justify being it's not the sole Mega, but like Mega Pidgeot. I feel like the viability gap between Mega Scovillain and Pidgeot is problematic. And like I just think you can get away with a more committal Mega than Pidgeot, because like you can still Rage Powder with base Scovillain. Like it won't be that bad. The typing's good. Finding there's not many stat rock types in the division, so on and so forth. Even if there were stat rock types, you've got 2 fighting types and a Milotic. It kind of sucks. Using Como as your main support, main user setup kind of sucks when it's auto Roselia or Sash every week, and Scovillain is the only fairy resist on the team, so they can just click D-Gleam every week and probably do like 30 to everything. Milo's job is basically to be a redirector in the first place, so it doesn't really like Rage Powder, and like having Coilnosis, Milo's main setup, does conflict with Spicy Spray, which is kind of sad. The Warrior Trick Room mode is like, it's fine. Using Mega Scovillain as a Trick Room super can be a good idea, and Conkeldurr can do the stupid Cuts Burn thing if it wants, but like, it's a word here, it's not that good. Sass will be spread sim between Zoldeon, Espeon, and probably Como. These look good across the board at least, but like, I don't know. The best, the speed looked fine. The speed control also looks fine. I guess the offensive Mega Scovelin might be the best option here. Honestly, the best setup on the team is probably Psychic Terrain Espy on into E-Force. That might be fun. Mega Pidgeot is probably better as a Tailwind setter here, just like the 101, just on Mega 101 speed than as a Mega. And like, your 135 Spy Hurricanes will like hurt, just not enough to be all too worrying. Sunfisted Watchog or whatever, they're kind of classic Gen 5 Shitmons. Sorry, I like Watchog. I don't know, this could be a C in action team. Scovelin and Milotic hypothetically have a lot of stally bullshit power. I just can't say for sure if that'll be easier to break in draft or not, because usually the stall stuff is only ever good in draft. But we'll see. Problems, matchups, if you're clicking ahead from only your division, I'm just going to do I'm trying to consider the matchups each a little bit more. So I'm putting in all the problem on for each team, which may be wrong, may be right, whatever. Nikki's Rotom Fan is actually a big pain here. It hits the top 4 for super effective. I can probably tank a Psychic. Both Wumbles Megas suck for you, and it'll be kind of a roulette which one comes, because they're both equally viable. Nikki's Zardex can't be burned. That's kind of the whole reason to do Mega Scovelin, is to burn physical attackers, and that's what they, you don't have you do have Intimidate, but it's a word, and word sucks. Yoshi kind of, you do make Yoshi play the like Sludge Bomb, like, oh, do I run Bulletproof and block Sludge Bomb Shadow Ball, or do I run Soundproof and block Perish Song? But like Mega gets Degleam, it'll just Degleam you. Bnana's Spather can probably outscale you pretty easily on its own without even doing any of the fun tricks. And Pig's Delphox is probably untouchable after a Calm Mind. I mean, you can like knock it off with Conkle there. As for trades, I just get like a dark type. I get like a Mega Absol or something. I don't think Mega Absol's good, but like get like a dark type. That's good. Number 11 is Bnana Bread. Surprisingly low for a Floette team. Volcarona is a pretty decent, but also pretty easy to handle redirector with a ton of versatility, but that versatility is only if there aren't any rock moves. And like, there's just not much rock deterrent on this team, unlike there is on paper. Torterra, Azumarill, Skarmory do all beat rock types, as far as the type chart's concerned, but like not at the speed tiers where they can actually protect Volk while the rock type is in front of it, or whatever the rock type move is in front of it. As Pathra can do both Lumina Crash combos or Baton Pass to make either Volcarona or Floette stronger. Like, I believe this team was made before that Baton Passes Pathra onto Malfox or Floette team that was good in the GC came out, but like you can just do that and pretend Volcarona is your Delphox. That should be fun. It's just beyond that core, the draft just feels a bit disjointed, especially when it shares similarities to the other league's Floette team. It's got a Scovelin, it's got a ground plus flying combo at kind of weird speeds, and like it's got a random low speed anti-Trick Room Water. I mean, this team does have a ball also not really having a Trick Room option. I mean, you've got a Spathra and Banette, but they're both very fragile and very prone to double ups. I guess the encompassing vibe I get is that this team was led by the type chart over anything else. Because there is a Fire, Water, Grass, and a Fantasy core here, I just don't think they synergize with each other especially well. Vulcan, Rage Powder, let Azure or Torterra set up, sure, but like you can also do that next to Floette, and it will probably be better. Skarmory and Drampa are neither fast nor strong enough to really help Floette get all that much done. And like, I mean, it's going to go through the Tailwind, but if you're starting, your typing doesn't actually matter. I'm kind of noticing the speed drops off a cliff after Volcarona, because it doesn't drop off that bad. But I guess it's more after Espathra. And like, I don't know. And like I said, the only Trick Room setters are Espathra and Banette, and like, both are at extreme risk of dropping to a double. So like, I guess the speed drop implies that the Trick Room mode is here, but I don't know how you'll get it up. And like, especially with the support for Trick Room being kind of strange, like, because Volcarona, you don't want to use Volcarona Rage Powder given its speed. I mean, if you get up to die turn 1, that's really good, but yeah. And like using base Floette as Mega, as like fake out support carries a lot of risk. You do not want your Mega Lopunny go into Trick Room, so you just have to do base fake out. And like, I'm not a big fan of secondary Mega Lopunny. You already have Volcarona to beat the steals. It's an awful pre-Mega. And like, Lopunny isn't a poison answer any more than Psychic Floette would be, and Volk's there. I guess the parting worry is that sufficiently fast Taunter might be able to shut down the entire team easily. It's because it's so setup focused. And like, also, as demonstrated in its first game with Beer, there's a lot of protecting going on that can be beaten by Feint. Speaking of that matchup, Beer's armor nuked everything but Azumarill bulk, and bulk kind of seemed to bring home the Cleavor. I wrote that down before the match happened, but so that is kind of the hardest guys to beat, it seemed. Amlo's Mega Lucario will threaten both Megas with priority, and Amlo has threatened plenty of Volk answers. Chris's Mega Venusaur kills everything if he kills Hero's Pathra. Both Blizzy's Megas don't even have to Mega to threaten threaten walls, like threatening walling your guys, and then if it walls your guys, that means that's good. Espy's Mega Scoblin can Flare Blitz your Floette, I guess, and Spooky's Orthworm, if it gets to shut down the Dragonite, can maybe do something to the Floette, but probably not. Number 10 is Amlo. This is probably the lowest I've ever put Amlo. There's a lot of modes that are good on this team, but I don't think they connected the S tiers that well. Palafin and Mega Lucario do seem like beat sticks. When it comes to Palafin, only the ice types do anything on Switch, and I'm counting having fake out support as something it does. And like swapping in an ice type raw is generally not advised, and I don't ever believe in flip turn Palafin. And like I guess I'm just not that sure there's much that could be a good switch in on this team. You know, Hydreigon's got 4 times weaknesses, a Mudtail is kind of slow, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Gorgoth's got Frisk. I guess that's something. But Lucario's just really good. Priority on both attacking ends that make it functional as a clean up sweeper in Trick Room, or like just after it ends. Like just after Trick Room ends, then you use your speed to kill after killing all the fast guys and like beat up everything. The steel and fighting types are most of what your 4 times weaknesses will be, and you scare both of them. And like, I guess looking more, this team kind of seems like it's built around Mega Rhyme more than anything else. Your only fake out support for getting up Trick Room happens to be at a reasonable Trick Room speed. You just lead a Rangaroo, Mr. Rhyme, fake something out, get Trick Room up, and then like either swap a Rangaroo out for Aurorus and Blizzard, or like, and then like after you do that, then you can instruct the Aurorus or Mudsdale or something. That seems good. And if you just want to click Blizzard Raw, the Ice Twist Fake Out is probably the best Blizzard spamming partner you can ask for, and the speed is just barely good enough to do Scarf Icy Wind bullshit. Hydreigon doesn't need much explanation. It's competing for Sass with Aurorus, because they both have 4 times weaknesses, but like, it's probably fun that its best use in the format is probably Tailwind. You can still do, like, you still got to do Scope Lens, Focus Energy stuff, Fenergy stuff, because that's still in the game, but nah. I don't know what the Mega Ampharos is doing. This team might not deserve its spot. It just kind of looks like a 7th Mon syndrome. It deserves a spot as and it should be higher. I also don't get Gorgeist Trigger Feeded plus Ice Moved. It's Trigger Feed and the Ghost type. Maybe it's Trevenant that's got the good one. Yoshi's Hisuian's Typhlosion kind of blows you up if you don't punch it with Baby Fin or like Surf Wave Crash it. Bnana's Volk stops you from killing the Floette, and if you can't kill the Floette, then the Floette will kill you. Pig's Court could be roughed at the Hydreigon, can't Flamethrower it. Mickey's Aegislash if it gets every turn right, otherwise it kind of seems like a Mega Lucario sweep. And Wumbles Bowl can click CC every turn. Nikki's Zard has Sun, and then it will click Zard moves in Sun. Number 9 is Spooky. I knew Spooky was going to run the Mega Dragonite plus Earthworm thing because he kept talking about it. But like before the draft started, and then he got Mega Nitric, and I went, oh, is he not doing that? And then he got the guard anyway, so it didn't matter. There isn't much to say here, so I'm just going to do more whining about Mega Dragonite. Because like this is the Rain team, but I think it's lacking in most of the biggest advantages of Draft Rain. There's no Swift Swimmer. It isn't really Spooky's fault, since your only options are Baskin Beartick, and Back Up was taken, and you want Mega Dragonite, so that can't be your S tier. But it's just like, it's just not sufficiently building up a Rain Sweeper to seem scary. Like, this wasn't a problem for Mr. Amazing's team because he had enough damage spread out, but like Spooky's B tier is Togetic, Earthworm, like those are both mostly supportive, and like I think the Sharpedo is just one more water type than you really need. And like, I don't know, because Mega Dragonite's Hurricanes are like not scarier than its Dracos. It can do more of them in a row, but like you're like, oh, if I live a Hurricane and I break the Dragonite's multiscale, as long as I kill it next turn, I'm fine. And it's like, I don't know. And like Pelipper can already click Hurricane, like, and a double flying move is kind of like, I don't know. Like, again, like I said with Mr. Amazing, increasing your accuracy is worse than increasing your damage, and even more importantly, when Weather's gone, losing your accuracy is way worse than losing your damage. It's just, I just don't like it. And like, the thing is, without a Swift Swimmer, you can't really threaten Helping Hand with Water Boosted Attack too well. You can do it with Surf Quavo, I guess. That can be both Fake Out and Intimidated. Basket Legion can only be Fake Out, they can only be Intimidated, rather. And like, you can get the Earthworm D-Knot trick off, and that's kind of cool, but like, it works a lot better when your Dragonite can Dragon Dance. And also, when since you know it's on the table and you kind of want to taunt Pelipper anyway, it's like it might just not happen, and like then you can't run Citrus Earthworm if you're running Mental Herb on it, and blah 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 blah. I do think the fake out and redirection support is good. Ariados and Rain should do stuff, and Toxicroak will do well, but like again, I think only Quackable is really a quote unquote setup sweeper. Because, like, and then you click Aqua Jet, and then, like, Mega Dragonite doesn't have setup. I don't think Mega Manectric gets set up. I know the rest of these guys don't. I mean, you can do Iron Press Earthworm, I guess. That could be good. But, talking about things I like, I do really like the Mega Manectric on this team, and I am a historic Mega Manectric hater. Its speed, Intimid, and Volt switches create tons of opportunities for, like, Mamoswine to get an EQ off, or, like, just to lower things attack for a late-game sweep. You can also Earth Discharge next to the Mamoswine, or Wide Guard Pelipper, and like that's not that strong, but it is kind of fun. And like I don't know, I kind of hope I can be proved wrong with the Quavo Rain, but if I'm prepping against Spooky's team, I'm just noticing how the speeds, your only speed is really the Manectric, and the Manectric is either going to be 105 itemless or 135, and then there'll be no D-Knight. And like I don't know, as long as I have an option against Scarf Helping Hand Quavo, I feel like I'm fine. And like. But it still has a lot of tools other teams don't have. I just don't believe. It also probably has the simplest round of problem matchups. Pigs does have a guy with Twist Whim. Vikings Kangaskhan breaks your Dragonite's Multiscale. It probably gets Ice Punch. Wumbles makes you play a Weather War against an Ice type, and that's your Kangaskhan. Nikki's Whimsicott gets Sunny Day, and Zardex gets Steel Shot. Yoshi's Mega Gengar makes you run pivot moves, I guess, and Bnana's Mega Floette will nuke everything. Number 8 is more on the can be higher side, just on the merits of Blizzard spam. It's just another Mega Frostless Mega Arrow with Tauros Water team, and I like it just a little bit more. Everything I said about not being big on Mega Arrow or Base Arrow applies here, which I'll repeat on the assumption. I will just click on as part of the video. Arrow is fine as a base form support, provided you're not playing against Scarfers that can kill both base and Mega, but the security of not dying in one hit is really valuable for this type of talent to have, unless you can guarantee the momentum you get from getting a free switch is worth it, and I don't really think this team has the offense forward to be worth it, and Alex's team kind of does. The team, unfortunately, does still read like a Mega Frostless team that knows Mega Arrow is a good dual Mega to have, rather than a team built around 2 Megas. You can tell this because Mega Arrow was a trade, so it just wasn't. There's no ground for Mega Arrow to be friends with, or really strong medium speed guys, unless you really believe in the Gudra. I mean, because Pango and Tauros are about as strong as each other. I mean, Pango's scrappy, but whatever. The Semi-Sphere Fake Out support is a pretty good way to make sure you're always bringing your Fire Steel Resist, which both Mega Arrow and Mega Frostless appreciate. You bring that to every game, and like with the Tauros and Mega, and with the Tauros and Rotom Frost, I think they both have pretty fun roles. Tauros again also resists Fire and Steel. And I think the Rotom Frost can just be played like a normal Rotom. I think you might not even need Blizzard on it. While bringing Frostless, you might not even bring Blizzard on it. Like, just based off typing, I don't think the typing's that bad. And I don't know, I think it'll be interesting to see if it can be played like a Rotom Walks that happens to have a spread move sometime. Just run Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Shadow Ball, or Hex, and then, I don't know, Eerie Impulse or Webs or something. Not on Scarf. Just you just run Citrus Berry and just rely on the Ice Defense boost. I don't know. The Floret's Upcast I'm fine with in concept, but I just don't like that her and Gudra do similar things at similar speeds. They're both big Spidef fat asses, and stacking these big Spidef fat asses is fine when you have a lot of killing physical guys support. It's just they're kind of homogenous. They both perform just okay under Tailwind. Neither of them really scare off fires for Scizor. I think enabling Scizor is kind of going to be pretty important. And at the time of writing, I think they're the only team that has a 1-to-1 swap it should make. I think Florges should be swapped out for Klefki. You get screens to support Mega Arrow, and Speed Control or Metal Sound for Frostless. I think it kind of marries the two modes together, and also lets you do Aurora Veil plus screens if you're feeling silly. Roserine and Pangur also probably won the award for best C-tier duo in this league. Yeah. The matchup with Blizzard already happened, but from the prep team I used, Raichu was most annoying, and the Tauros was my most feared. Mega Scovillain, Espy's Mega Scovillain does make you kind of plain annoying. Do I find a way to beat Scovillain, then let Frostless sweep, or let Frostless press buttons and figure out Scovillain later kind of scenario? But I think you can just run both and let the 4 in the middle figure it out. It's kind of a cop-out to say Pelipper is the hard thing in the Weather War, which I haven't had problems doing before, but I guess I have now. But like the Mega Manectric is the best tool to let Spooky win the Weather War. It seems pretty tough for Mega Arrow, Frostlass, Voidus, blah blah blah. Like Beer's Cleavor just clicks Stone Axe forever into you. Amlo's priority goes mostly uncontested, and Chris's Stable Eye will play the Weather War for him. And I mean, he can't really bring Charizard because of Mega Arrow, but like, I mean, yeah, you'll figure it out. Number 7 is Blizzard. This is the one I help with less than I usually do to my memory. The team started from the ground up with Mega Slowbro setup, then circumstances made it push to drill for a little bit more offense, and then right back to filling out the Slowbro stuff. Most of the non-Slowbro mons are kind of like assassins, so just are here to take out whatever scares Mega Bro, so then it can keep doing Mega Bro things. Chaos Fire kills all darks and grasses, and then you can never say no to having Intimidate. Udo's got Life Dew, and both her and Like and Dusk get Oodles of coverage. I won't spoil surprises that Umbreon is cooked up, but it is doing something. I guess I still don't fully believe in the drill, but with a lack of offensive S tiers at its speed tier, I think Mexico is the best offensive option available. We both pick Mouse Hold, and she's getting more out of it than me. Lowbro loves Sprint Guard to make it fatter, and Mexico loves it to make it fat. Stronger Trick Room mode than I do with the Aromatisse, and like can get lots of use out of all of Misa's various support moves. I'm just saying this so I can talk myself into trading Mouse Hold. Like, nothing for the matchups because I'm under NDA for all of them because that was mostly how the team was built, as well as good in the next matchup. Number 6 is Chris, the other double Mega Weather duo in the league, who seems to have gotten the better end the deal as far as a usable non-Mega goes. I mean, Zard can't really do anything if you Mega the Venusaur, but the Megaverse is absolutely not true. It does kind of look like the team was built around the Venusaur more than anything else. The supportive Sableye Tank Crook options better serve a guy who doesn't have a 4 times weakness. Like you're not going to run. Dreams aren't really going to have Beloved Rock Slide, Fake Out. You know, sure if the Fake Out doesn't kill, then you're still going to die on the Rock Slide. Blah blah blah. And like I think the back ends kind of focus on stall and Trick Room modes that also don't benefit Zardy very much. But I like this approach. I don't think you need to do much with the YZARD, but like click your fire moves and maybe get a helping hand. Chris can punish someone meeting Zardy with aggression with the slow mode of Mega Venusaur and Sableye and Cofagrigus and blah blah blah. And he can punish someone prepared for the Mega Venusaur mode by bringing excessive support moves by just overheating them in the face. And like kind of capping everything off and marrying the 2 modes is Sableye. Quas is a legitimate contender for the best speed control in the format. It's the best option Chris will have against Scarf Rock Slides. And like, yeah, you can actually make Sableye feel bulky in this meta. You can actually run Citrus on it, and there's no tearing out of like Ghost Dart being a pretty decent typing, so that seems a little bit more value relatively. Run all your screens too, blah blah blah. And like this could be kind of a far-reaching problem, but outside of the S tiers, there isn't much damage contribution. Sableye and Tink don't hurt all that much in A. I mean, Tinkaton's got the big hammer, but it's only got the hammer every other turn. And Cofagrigus Pecs aren't that strong in B. In both cases, I think the utility wins out, but if there's a really good kill the Mega plan, it might be difficult to for Chris to claw back. Again, not at liberty to speak on Nikki because that game isn't happening yet. Yoshi's Gallade is just barely strong enough though, because Zard with Rock Slide and like its stabs will tear through everything else. Bnana's Aspathra is really more a problem just because it's a psychic type than the support it has. Same thing from Pig's Mega Delphox, taking advantage of the sun while still beating Mega Venu. Mikey's mother and son combo can just kind of ignore Sableye. It's got Brick Break, can just hit shit. And if Wumbles Mega Arrow is really just dependent on dodging a Sleep Patter, if you can just lead Zard Y and Mega Venusaur and then let the Sleep Patter figure out who wins. Number 5 is Yoshi. Sorry that you're a 1 spot above number 6. This version of Mega Gengar looks a lot more balancey and focused on trapping than Qwert's version, and I'm not sure that's a good thing. Trapping's still trapping, instant cycles and Vivillon Sleep Powders will win you games, that's a discount fake Amoonguss and Cinnamon. And you can just have Incineroar and Vivillon bully a slot and then just attack into whatever you think will hit harder if you don't want to do Paris. But Paris seems like more of a direct win con, at least compared to Qwert's team, and I'm not sure I like that. The team could just crumble if Megan goes down early, especially when there's nothing else faster than base 95, and your fast guy Typhloid Kinasui is also weak to all the same things Megan is weak to, and in the Trick Room mode, not having particularly reliable sweepers, I don't think the Trick Room is good enough here to qualify as a mode, but it's still worth talking about. And like, just to look into non-Paris game plans for a second, I think using Ditto to copy whatever Mega you want does seem fun. You do kind of have to hope that they don't just put their Mega in front of the Gengar slot, and then to get the Mega, you have to swap out your Mega and then start dropping them. That could be I mean, you can still do like Incineroar parting shots and that would happen, but like, it's still not ideal, probably. And then, like, I think the Mega High Flogan for double fake and immune lead that gets you either information or a huge eruption is a pretty nasty lead roulette. And like, the offensive Gallades card is good utility knives to make sure you do fine to whatever you and Gengar are up against. You also got the Run the Scope lens for a bit of item to help the item scarcity. And I guess I can't finish this section without noting the extreme ghost and dark weaknesses. I guess my big verdict is that this is a top 5 +1 team with some, they might be able to get owned by Taunt. As for the problem matchups, Amlo can flip turn himself to get out of Parrish, and Megan hates Scarf Outdoor against Snarl. Chris Sableye and Quash is anti-bullshit on everything but Ensign. Blizzard has the guy who goes through Protect. Having the guy who goes through Protect is bad on a Paris team. You just high horsepower, both Ensign and Mega Gengar. Espy's Corvo's ability Gamble is annoying if you forget that Megan gets D-Gleam. Spooky's gets tons of pivot options from Electric Volt Switch, Spell U-Turn, and Shed Tail to get out of Paris Trap. And again, the Rain team means that Incineroar and Typhlosion are kind of scared. Here's Kangaskhan being faster than all your fake outs and having Scrappy kind of shifts the turn 1 momentum in his favor pretty heavily. But after that, and really he just has a lot of tools to navigate through Paris Song, so I think it's kind of an outbalance each other game, which are always kind of annoying. Mikey's got a very solid tail room. I would give this team a pretty low just eyeballing its score, just on account of overwhelming balancedness. And also the Rotom and Fan and Tauros Paldea both look like they're the worst options of the 4. But like, it's a good team and those are good mons. I especially believe in the Mega Kang, the Mother and Son combo, both in general for draft and with Hammer-On it's primarily a Trick Room. Is it primarily a Trick Room? It's got a pretty strong Trick Room mode, not primarily Trick Room. I'm tired of repeating all the things Noivern can do. I've done it in so many leagues, but I will say I've entertained that Noivern Rapier concept before. I'm glad someone else is doing it. Rapier max 45 speed is actually just barely good enough to be a tailwind sweeper, especially in this format. And while it's lame that you can't really EQ next to Slowking rather, Slowking is good enough on its own, and the Rock Slide should still be strong enough. After that, I think the remaining pieces could seem a little flimsy. Aegislash doesn't pair well on teams that seem to like speed control as much as this one does. You're just inviting yourself to get O-code in response, and while your stats are very high, your move-based power is relatively low, so you're not that strong. And I think having Dirge as a fellow ghost in extremely similar speed tier makes answers to both overlap, which isn't very nice. I am just low on Dirge face when there's no Throat Spray involved, but the Kanga Dirge lead does seem pretty solid with Wisps and Yawns and whatever. Or just Fake Out and Torch Song when, stuff like that. And as I alluded to before, Rotom, Fan, and Tauros Combat both look like mons you only get if you pull the sword end of the stick, but they're not bad. They do useful balancing things. They're both just fair, and they both have fair counterplay, so it is what it is. The Dene's kind of bad, and Absol's kind of good. Problem matchup, Espy's Mega Scoveland next to Conkeldurr can burn all your guys and Drain Punch and knock everyone important. So pack some spread moves. Orthrum has the case to the city since you're not bringing Dirge to Rain. I guess you can bring, or Rapier to Rain. Zion defense stuff will be rough. Beer Sinistra can sweep if he gets enough turns right or he takes care of Noivern. Similar story with Amlo's Mega Lucario. I guess the Mr. Rhyme could icy win, and that could be tough, but I don't know, if you like your Noivern do stuff, I think both of them don't seem that bad. The lead roulette against Chris' Zoroark will be especially rough because you want to stay scrappy for a turn with the Kangaskhan to make sure you fake out something. And maybe he uses that turn to just blow the Kangaskhan up and they don't have a Mega. And Blizzy's Hudra, depending on the coverage it brings, could be tough for you. Otherwise, Mega Extra Bill's damage output and, general typing just brings ground rock and then kind of forces you to bring it. Well, you've got Dream Punch and Mega Kanga. That's more than makes up the difference. Anyway, number 3 is Nikki. Nikki's got a Mega Scarm, so of course I like that. That's pretty good. Is that every tool for success? Well, doesn't not every because there's no priority blocking, and not many ghosts, so it's got most tools for success. And the funny thing is that I think this looks to be a team that benefits a lot from doing damage mitigation bullshit. You've got Gyarados, Tauros, Inktim cycling. You have to support light screens from Whimsicott and like Charm, Encore, whatever, and like, Trick Guard, Scarf, Guard, Scarf on the stuff. But like, and use all that to support his Ardex sweep, or just don't run something like that. But like, especially because it gets Breaking Swipe, I think, you can do a lot of damage while making their damage really low, and that could be fun. But like, because this is a Nikki team, we're probably going to see more of the Helping Hound Outrage and Solar Power Discharge next to Pikachu side of things, which also seems pretty good, in fairness. Skarm is a decent enough mega alternative. They're most physical, which is but shares support options while not sharing any typing weaknesses, to my memory. I would like to see a ground for all these flyings, or like Gardevoir with telepathy, or like a Steel and Dragon for the fantasy core. It's a Pikachu is probably the best HO in the format. I like that a lot. It does seem kind of rough that Scovelin and next to Zardax are just both Rock Slide food, but it is a redirector. It's you said you'll have Sunny Day, so you can do Spicy Extract bullshit. I don't know. Problems. I'm helping Chris with this matchup, and it hasn't happened yet, so I'm also under NDA for that one. Blizzy's Slowbro is fat as a house, and all you've got to really hit it is Scovelin and the Pikachu and the Heliolisk. I feel like I'm going to forget about that in another second with S3's Milotic, which will be in Coil Unless It's Heaven if the electrics die. Boogie's Mega Mantric can Volt Switch around forever and let base D-Knight handle the Zard. Because, you just go through multi-scale, and then you just, I guess, it just Breaking Switch back or something. No, because it's Inner Focus, and then it can't Taunt, and then whatever it does makes the Zardex slower. I don't know what I was thinking with that one. I don't think that's true. You want to bring Zardex into Beer, but Cleavor makes that very hard, and if you don't bring Zardex, Armorage can get to do whatever she wants. And Amlo's Auroras, if you don't bring Skarm, could be kind of annoying. And number 2 is Beer. Beer's team is kind of the definition of honest. 1 Mega, 2 Fake Outs, Fire, Water, Grass plus Fantasy, 2 Intend to Turn, 3 if you count White Herb Sneasler. A Trick Room mode that doesn't commit to are the Trick Room, and it does have Tailwind and Electro options that are on Mons that are just barely fast enough, and at their rolls, 105 Manectric and 101 Pidgeot. I think this is the hardest team to guard in a vacuum because its game plan is much more dynamic than let Mega Fair get a D-Dance and then click Double Edge. But listing the broad roles of every Mon like I just did, I do think I've pretty accurately captured what the purpose of picking them was in the first place, and they're all, pretty self-evident. You can lead Sneasler next to anything, you can lead Sinister next to anything, and you can always shove Alchemy in there and threaten Decorate bullshit. Really, this is a PSA to bring a Scarf, Decorate, Alchemy answer every week. Don't be the guy who gets plus new Monster Gotcha'd or plus 2 Close Combated. Or I guess the guy who gets Coaching Double Edge, that'll also suck, but that's more understandable. From general murmurs, I feel like I've seen people look down on this team for just, being a bunch of good stuff put together, but this is just a very run good stuff format. Having Mons that have very low tricks, have very low, just do what they say on the tin, is pretty good in a format with Zapterra or mini items. There's not many tricks you get off in the first place, so the best you can do is just switch in a resist and get your Double Edge going. I don't know, I like it quite a bit. I like the lead versatility. I like the everything. That's what I don't like is I just think, Mega Fur Alligator is a little bit, as a Mega. It's not that as a Mega. It's just I don't think it's a good balanced Mega. I don't think it's just a good, Ursa. I don't think it's an Ursa Luna. I don't think the Dragon Double Edges are just worth running on their own outside of dedicated setup or speed control, I guess is what I could say. But I'm fine with being proven wrong about that. I think Mega Farah is probably definitely should have been S. Anyway, Bnana's Float is a pain in the ass for all the normal reasons. Just let your Sneasler hit the gunk shot. Pig's Unnerved Corviknight plus Scarf Chomp could tear into basically anything if he preps around your speed control well. If Mikey removes Armorooge, Aegislash can go pretty wild. Wumbles Mega Arrow Dual Wing Beat is unbelievably unfair into all your best guys. No Copa Berry, no anything. If Nikki gets Tailwinds up and Outrage gets all the turns right, then that really sucks and everything's gonna die. And all your best offense guys into Yoshi are going to be Sleep Powder food. Mega for Alligator, Armorooge, all stuff like that. You've got Sweet Veil Alchemy, or whatever Veil makes you immune to sleep, so that's pretty good, but you don't want to bring that. And then you're getting Sludge Bomb by Gengar. That balance off there, like I mentioned earlier, is going to be annoying. And the last one is Pigs. Usually when people will go, this is the best team ever, I'm kind of contrarian myself. I know, no, it's not that good. But no, this is that good. The top 4 are just a reasonably constructed Bring 4, Garchomp, Mega Delphox, Corviknight, Basque. It could be a boy Basculegion instead of the girl Basculegion, but it's still Basculegion. The Rotom mode makes a very good addition to the type core, and kind of makes the team look like a Bring 5+1 type of team, with pretty low versatility in Mons, but pretty high versatility in sets. And I'm not sure right now if that's a problem or just the virtue of having 5 really, really good picks. Sometimes you just make a good team. And we'll just have to wait and see which one's the case. But kind of going by my own placement, I think it's going to be a good thing. And just to give a quick rundown of why I think the other Mons aren't that useful. Hatterene isn't strong or fast enough to play like an Ursaluna or a Snorlax, and this team generally doesn't be in Trick Room. It can imprison Trick Room, but then you're not running Protect, probably, and if you're running one attack, maybe that kind of sucks. But Simeon's strong, but getting use out of it will probably require taking a Scarf from Chomp. If you don't have to do anything like that either way, it'll probably be good. Glalie a gimmick, and Arbok is bait. The best 6 Mon is probably Morpeko here, but even that is stealing a Sash from someone more deserving. And I don't know. I think you can just fuck around with 3 things you can EQ next to, and Corv Tailwind will be enough for everyone, and Corv has bullshit bulk. You'll get the bulk up next to it, and whatever. Everything will be fine. Problem matchups, I think Spooky Sharpedo could be tough if you give it free turns. Just run something with Feint. I don't think anything gets Feint here. Maybe Pessimian does. Beer's Mega Fair, unless you run Breaking Swipe. Watch out for Heatproof Sinistra. Amlo's Head Dragon will be rough if you don't want to hit, Friday you don't want to make Mega Delphox at Focus Blasts. I don't think Delphox at D-Gleam, but that's also an easier solution. Chris's Crocodile can kind of click knockoff forever. Not that much forever, but at least in the Delphox it can hit that. And then I think the Mega Venu and Friends are enough to beat the Garchomp. I mean, the Corv is still tough for him because Corv is awesome. Loses Extradol gets to Mold Breaker, high horsepower, like the Delphox Pre-Mega, and Espy's Milotic can probably coil up on you if the Jolteon packs Eerie Impulse. That's it. Those are the rankings. I think on average, I feel like, we'll see this, because this is the full rankings in the screenshot. So you can screenshot these and put them on later. And the thing is that I think I ranked a lot of the blue team, the Showdown teams, lower than I did the Champions teams. But I think that on average, I think they're a lot closer in power level, and I think they're going to have a fairer competition outside of Pigs. You can see the people I think are going to win it all are Pigs, Qwert, Cozy Beer, and Beer. I think these are the people who have all of the tools they need. They've all the tools they need. They have enough versatility to do whatever they want, and so on and so forth. I think Have a Shot, Nikki, Cat, Mr.Amazing, Doom, MikeTitan are all people who, with the same things, I think they're the same, have basically everything they want, but what they have in and of itself is not so overwhelming to really auto win all that much. I think the only going by what I've listed about the tier, I think maybe that could make Doom go up because Doom has a Floette, but and maybe make Mike go down because Mega Gyarados isn't that good, but that's only, I would still stick by the tier. I'm just not sticking by the definition that's made up for it. And everyone in this tier, this is the list of Mikey, Yoshi, Chris, Blizzard. I think all those teams are very good in Showdown, in Showdown Division. I think they're all just kind of doing too much. I think Mikey's a little bit too I think Mikey and Yoshi have very strong megas that are running a bit too fair. I think Chris and Blizzard are getting a little too crazy with it. Not too crazy for it, but they're getting very cerebral. And cerebral doesn't always work out. And then Mario, Wumbles, Spooky, Parry, and Amlo are these are fine teams, but they could be bad. These are the gap between here are where I think that the really good teams kind of end. Mario, Bnana, Wumble, Spooky. These guys can all definitely do stuff. If these guys can definitely win, but it'll be harder than everyone with the above. And Bnana, Omega, Aux, LS, and Espy are the people I think need to make trades if they want to take it to the top. And I'm at the bottom of my own green tier. I don't have any conclusive statements to end on. I certainly didn't write any. But hopefully, I took a long time to make this video. Hopefully I wasn't so tired that I started rambling and reading off things I shouldn't have read and blah, 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 blah. But now we're done. This was probably an hour 20 video. That's fine. All right.